Sodom was destroyed by God because of the practice of homosexuality in that city. And that is often the conclusion many of us have thought to be true as the sole reason that God destroyed Sodom. The Bible tells us that God had heard an outcry that has come from Sodom and had come up to him, and he is now coming to investigate why there's such a great outcry from the city. And that word outcry is repeated in Genesis chapter 18, verses 20 and 21, and Genesis 19, verse 13. And the word outcry, it's not just someone yelling loudly, but that word in the Hebrew actually is specifically about someone crying out for help, calling for aid. God is then prompted to come because this enormous call for aid is coming out from the city. And what we find is that if we only look to Genesis chapter 19, verses 4 and 5, where we find the angels that had been brought into Lot's house, and the men, both young and old, the Bible tells us, come to Lot's home and say, "Bring out the men that are in your house so that we may know them." And of course, what they're talking about is to commit rape against these men, to bring them out so that they can know them, which is that word that the Bible uses to have sexual relations with them. And if we stopped reading there, we'd say, well, this is why God is just going to destroy them. No, this may be one of the reasons, but the depravity that was in Sodom was more defined in other ways as well. There was so much fear in that city to the point that Lot had to tell the angels, "Don't stay outside for too long, come into my house," because he knew the city in which he dwelt was a wicked one. But the thing is, the Bible goes a step further and tells us even more about this city and why God brought judgment upon it. This was the iniquity of your sister Sodom. She and her daughter had pride, which is arrogance, fullness of food, gluttony, an abundance of idleness, meaning they were unconcerned about other matters. Neither did she strengthen the hand of the poor and needy. Other translations would talk about that last part of the verse as saying, they did not help the poor and needy. And by poor, it means the weak, those without money, and the afflicted. By needy, the Bible is talking about those that are subject to abuse and oppression. Those are the words that are used. And it's saying about Sodom, you had all of the riches, but you did not take care of the people within your gates. You were unconcerned with those that were going through injustices, those that were poor within your city. You did not take care of them or come to their aid when they would cry out for help. You were callous and cold and unconcerned for the needs of others. This was one of the iniquities of Sodom, something we don't often think about, but it was there that Ezekiel recounts one of the iniquities of Sodom. And God says, they were haughty and committed abomination before me. Therefore, I took them away as I saw fit. And for your own life, allow what you heard today to show you that God is very concerned about how we treat other people. Are we dismissive of the needs of people around us? Do we look upon the oppression of other people, and are we unconcerned? Are our hearts not moved for those that are experiencing abuses and oppression by others? If so, we may have the iniquity of Sodom. Your God, my God, is a God who is uniquely concerned about the needs of people. And when there is a great outcry, He hears when those call for help. Do you hear for those cries for help? And how do you respond? Or do you simply try to point out one specific sin that you are not involved in, that another is involved in, and say, well, they called it upon themselves to be treated this way? May that not be true for us, my friends. May we represent the God who hears the outcry of anyone, no matter what city they are in.